Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, with week 20 of Ask a Crafter, and I have a co-host, but she's kind of shy, and she's sitting over there in the corner. Hi, Kathy!
Hi!
See, that's her hand. Oh,
Hi.
there she is! So maybe she'll get brave and stand up here with me, but for now she's gonna ask me questions sitting over there. And we did have a lot of questions this week and a lot of comments too, and I'm gonna get things rolling with some of the comments, not all of them because there were a lot. Scrappy K Sue writes, I love your segments, but you keep saying that you'll put links below to different things you were talking about, but the links are not there. It was not really anything I was interested in. I just noticed it several times. You said it and there's no links, just letting you know, thanks. Yeah, that's totally on me, my bad. Because a lot of times I just kind of upload this and hope for the best. A lot of times I don't watch it until a few days later, and that's like, oh, I forgot the link. So I'm gonna try to have Kathy make little stars next to things I say I'm gonna put links to, so I don't, just say, yeah, there'll be a link there and completely blow it off. Sorry about that, Scrappy K. Carmen Hayes says, oh, she has some advice for your sticky Mod Podge stuff. A thin coat of turtle wax kills the tackiness of my matte Mod Podge. It's humid here in Florida, and even the matte will stick to stuff. And you can get turtle wax at the hardware store or any automotive place, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Walmart automotive department and stuff.
Great. You pick up your simple green while you're at it and clean your stamps. Several people said that Joann.com sells the Judykins color dusters, and they go on sale for like 40 or 50% off whenever there's a stamping or scrapbooking sale. Sue Cole writes, 12 minutes into Ask a Crafter 19, you were talking about things freezing and thawing. One of the things we have to watch for in particular in the stores, here anyway, she lives in Alaska, is masking fluid. It's a latex product and can get frozen in shipping and become solid. So make sure yours is liquid before you leave the store. So that's a great point. If you're buying it, give it a shake. Make sure that it's liquid. It's very watery. It should be very watery. That's masking fluid. It's a watercolor product. Let's see, and a cheap way to get crackle effect is to paint on a coat of acrylic paint, let it dry, then paint on a coat of white glue. Then while this glue is still wet, paint another coat of acrylic paint, preferably in a contrasting color to the first color. As it dries, it will crackle. Thin glue equals small crackles, thick glue equals big crackles. And you can use a hair dryer or a heat gun, according to Just One More Stamp, to make it crackle quicker. And Just One More Stamp wants to mention that the hardware store, the chip brushes, those cheap, really like 39-cent brushes, could also be used for color dusters if you can't find the color dusters. I would give them a good tug before you use them, maybe wash them, get all the stray hairs out first. Dee wrote to tell me that Walmart has the camera that I use for $119, regular $179. So I'm almost thinking I should grab another one for spare because I love this camera, my video camera.
Deal.
Yeah.
Great deal.
Yeah, it's like, geez, and it takes decent still photos too. Has a good zoom on it. And I got a couple questions in this morning that I just chicken scratch written, so I'm not going to make her read those because my handwriting is bad. Hovawart16 says, what are your suggestions for refreshing felt pens? Well, I have a video, and I'll put a link to it. That's funny. I'll try to put a link to that, how to refresh your oh, she's writing it down. Write it on my paper. Put a star there, Kath. She'll keep me honest. I have a video on how to refresh your felt-based, your water-based markers. You basically just pop the end off, you drip in some re-inker and some glycerin and some water, and that will juice it right up again. Lost Stamper asks, how do you knit from 2 balls of yarn at once without getting tangles? Well, I have a bag that actually has, this is like a scrapbooking supply bag, and it has 2 compartments, and I put 1 ball in each compartment, and the key is to pull the ball from the yarn from the center of the skein or ball of yarn, so your yarn isn't rolling around. I think if you're using your yarn from the outside of the ball, it's going to roll and twist and tangle, and if you have 2 balls that you're doing the same thing to, it's going to be a nightmare. You can actually knit 2 things at a time from the same ball of yarn. Use the middle pull for one object you're knitting and use the outside of the skein for the second. You could even take like a plastic bag, a cheap shopping bag, and poke a hole in it and pull the yarn through one end and pull the other yarn through the opening in the bag and do that way, and then it won't tangle up. So try it, you'll be amazed. All right, I'm done my page. Your turn, Kath.
I actually have a question to go back to re-inking your markers. You're saying drip this in and this. Is it better to kind of make that solution and pour it all in together? And I know you're obviously not putting that much liquid in at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do like a drop of glycerin and 2 drops of water and ink, I mean, does it kind of mix
it
together in the right kiss? You would mix,
I would mix it
before
together,
you
yeah.
put it in.
Yeah, all that information's in that video, but yeah, mix it ahead of time. And if you can't get your ends off or you're nervous about ruining your markers, you can take like a little baby food jar and mix up your solution and just put the marker like tip down and leave it for a couple hours. It will wick up the moisture.
Yeah.
Then store it flat on its side so that it will kind of evenly disperse throughout there's a pad on the inside of the marker, and then it can evenly disperse through there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So on to questions. Vicky asks, Lindsay, you are a hoot. I laugh at or with you every time. LOL. Thanks for the suggestions regarding the creamer containers. One more question for you. Does Mod Podge adhere well to plastic? Ever tried it on a non-porous surface?
If you want to use Mod Podge on plastic, I recommend you sand it to give it some tooth, because it's going to want to peel off on its own, because you need to rough it up a little bit. It's not the best, but it can be done. But sand it if you can.
Okay. And then Barb says, hey Lindsay, I have a question about stencil paste. I have a couple small jars of colored paste that seems to have dried up. Is there any way to re-moisten them, or are they trash now? Do you have a good way to store them so they don't dry up? Thanks, Barb.
Well, I don't use stencil paste. What I buy is the cheap bottles of latex paintable caulking from the hardware store. It comes in a squeeze bottle. So when you get it, you could get the big one that goes in a gun, but you'll never get through that before it probably dries up on you. But you pop off the top, and you cut the tip, and then you squeeze out what you need, mix it with some acrylic paint with a little palette knife, and scrape it across your stencil, because you need a palette knife anyway to scrape it across your stencil so you're not dirtying anything extra. And then as you squeeze it, you're squeezing it out. There's no extra air in the tube as opposed to a little jar or a pot of it, so it lasts till it's done pretty much, unless it freezes. Your stencil paste, it depends on what the base is. If it is an acrylic based product, if it's dried out, you're kind of out of luck. But if it's not, you could try, if it's like a clay base, you could try adding like a few, maybe like a teaspoon of water to it, cap the lid on good, and check it in a couple of days if you can stir it up. If you can, great. If you can't, then it's not going to be saved. But if you can save it, it would be by putting some water in, letting it sit, and stirring it up. And then next time go to the hardware store and, make your own.
Okay. Connie Oswald Stuffgo asks, all of your posts are so helpful. Could you spend some time talking about the lifespan of old newspapers and magazine pages and collages? They're not acid-free, so that decreases how long they will last. I bought an expensive spray to decrease the acidity of the paper, but as I understand it, it doesn't eliminate the acid from the paper. The spray also leaves a white film on the paper. Will Mod Podge or other sealants extend the life of the newspapers and magazine pages?
Yes, because if you Mod Podge over something, you're almost like you're laminating it, you're encasing it in plastic. And that's going to, what turns your papers yellow is the exposure of oxygen. So if you can seal out that oxygen, it's going to last a lot longer. If you were to Mod Podge the back before you even put it on the collage, you could actually encase that acidity, encase all that right there, so it shouldn't leach out to anything else. Just like if you were to laminate something to stick in your scrapbook, which would be another way to preserve it. But if it's going on a collage, I would put a layer of Mod Podge, put down the clipping, and then Mod Podge over it again. So you're going to minimize the amount of oxygen that can get in there and turn it yellow. And then you're also going to kind of make a little barrier for that, or a buffer for the acidity, to keep that kind of in check as well. It's not going to last forever, but it will last quite a long time.
And she goes on to say, and this, what you just said probably takes care of this, but do I need to frame, finish collages under special glass? I prefer not to use glass on collages at all. So if she's using the Mod Podge and encasing it, then she wouldn't necessarily have to.
Right, I mean, you'd be able to dust it off. I mean, I personally, I think any work on paper should be matted and either behind glass or plexiglass. Pastels need to be behind glass because the dust will attract to the plexiglass, and watercolors could be behind either. I prefer glass just because it seems to be a little bit longer lasting. But so any work on paper that I really care about, I'd mat and frame under glass, so I have nothing touching the actual artwork. But that's personal preference. I think a collage is a little bit more relaxed of a medium, and you're maybe not as concerned with the archival properties of it as you would maybe a painting. So it's completely artistic that's completely up to you. If you Mod Podge it, you'll be able to dust it. Of course, it's not gonna, stand to being sprayed with a hose, but how often do you spray your artwork with a hose anyway? I think it'll be fine.
And she also says, if I choose to sell finished pieces, should I provide any special information to the buyer, such as that the artwork may not last many years, that it may fade, that they should keep it out of direct sunlight?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you could do that in your kind of like about me information, like have a, like on the back of your painting, tape a little brochure that tells you a little bit about yourself, tells people about yourself, your artwork, how to contact you, and then like a little blurb about the materials you use in your artwork. And, you could say, due to this fact, this artwork may not last, 100 years, or any special care instructions such as as in all artwork, this should be hung out of direct sunlight and you'll be able to enjoy it for years to come. Something like that, but I would do that in like a little brochure tacked to the back, because people tend to want to save that stuff about the artist anyway, so they can look you up later if they really like your artwork, or if something happens to it. It's better if they go to you to have it repaired than to have it repaired by somebody else.
And kind of very similar to like the same care instructions you find in clothing, or
Yes.
when you go to buy fabric, they have the same information. C. Slay. I just discovered that Stampendous has a jelly plate they are calling the Creative Palette. Will you do a video on it and tell us what difference you find between the two of them? I think there is a size difference and maybe a texture difference, but it would be fun to see what you find.
Well, I don't have either the jelly plate or the creative plate. If Jelly Arts and Stampendous would love to send me those products to do a review, I'd be more than happy to, but I'm not going to go out and spend, $60 to try them out. I really think they're probably about the same thing. I am sure they're very similar to what Personal Stamp Exchange came out with about 20 years ago, that was like a big sheet of raw polymer that you could cut up into shapes. I think it's pretty much all the same thing, and I'm sure it works very much like a gelatin plate. I think if you made up a gelatin plate and you used it and you loved it, then you'd go, and I don't think that they're that different. And I do have a video on how to make your own permanent plate if you want to make it yourself and have it last as well. But unless the company sent me some to try, I wouldn't be buying that just to try them out, because I'm happy with my homemade versions.
Nikki, love your daily blog, getting so many ideas and no time to do them all. I do need help on etching glass. I have done it before with contact paper for basic easy designs, but I want to etch wine glasses with snowflakes and other intricate designs. Is there a medium that I can use with my rubber stamps, stamp the glass, then etch over it, and then peel off or rub off the medium?
You could probably try masking fluid for that. Just make sure you clean your stamps really well afterwards. Or go to the scrapbook store and buy a really detailed sticker and stick that on, and then make sure you press it down good, then apply your etching cream. That'd be the easiest way to do it. Or you could try die cutting vinyl and using that as your stencil, as your mask for the cream. I think that's what I would do. I mean, try masking fluid maybe on a scrap of glass that you have and see how that works. Just kind of load your stamp up with masking fluid, stamp it, and then try the etching cream. It might be kind of difficult. I'm just thinking stamping on a wine glass is going to be tough to get a really solid, good impression. So I think a sticker would be.
Yeah,
there's lots of snowflake stickers.
Yeah, because you could get that to shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Linda Reitnor, what do you use to protect your table from water, paints, etc.? Such as I see when you do a watercolor or doing a calligraphy. It looks like a grid of some sort. Or what else do you recommend?
Okay, so I said this on my blog. I have doors on sawhorses in my room. My fancy table is a door on 2 cube units that I bought from Target. So I don't really care about protecting them that much, but for videos I really need something that doesn't glare too much. So I have a Dritz sewer's cutting mat that was a hand-me-down. It works great. I also have a felt sheet that I got at Martin's, and it's got like Teflon on one side and it's felt on the other.
You got me one too for Christmas.
I did, I got her one. I bought it, but I saw it at Martin's, and that's great for doing videos against, and you could spill on it and it will wipe right off. So basically, if you need something to cut, so you can just use your knife and cut right on there, get like a gridded sewing mat, and you can measure and cut right there. If you just want something that's going to be a nice neutral gray that you can wipe up, would you remember what the name of that brand was, that mat? Because they do have a website.
I don't
remember either.
You probably don't have the bag. Right?
I don't have the bag.
No.
It was like it was the same material they make floor mats out of, but it was Teflon on one side and it was gray felt on the other. And you could actually, they make huge ones you can lay down in your garage. So you can park, you can drive on, so you don't ruin your garage floor. I'm not concerned about my garage floor. I can't even imagine. But
my cat's already laid on it, and it collects cat hair rather well.
Oh, I bet anything silicone-y like that attracts cat hair. And glitter. Glitter's really hard to remove. Or silicone baking mats work great to protect your work surface, and they wipe right off. You can't cut on them, but they wipe right off. I saw those at the Christmas tree shop too for like $5, I think.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yes,
wow.
they're rolled up in like one of the end caps of Christmas tree shop. So way cheaper than a Silpat. Anything, if you want a cutting mat, you just go to Joann's and use a 50% off coupon and get a cutting mat that will fit to your table in the sewing department. It'll take a while to uncurl. They come tightly curled up, so they might take a while to uncurl, but
and it's not a cheap investment.
No,
not really. You're gonna want to be able to use a coupon on it. I got a steal of a deal on Black Friday.
That's right.
Because I got a huge one that covers my dining room table, and it's normally $70, and I got it for $20.
That was a heck of a deal. Now, would you feel comfortable painting on that and then wiping it off and doing cloth, or would you keep it one for cloth and one for painting?
I have 3 kids, so I would like to think that I would want to save it and not, but they've already gotten glue and glitter and stuff on it. What I do sometimes is flip it over and keep like the measured side with my marks and everything. And sometimes they're marked on both sides, but this one doesn't happen to be. And just use the other plastic side for the kids to do their stuff, and then my measurements are clear and smooth. So.
Oh, great idea! Yeah, flip it over, double-sided. Yeah. All right, that works. Anything else from her? Or?
Nope, that was it.
All right, what's next?
Now we have Linda Bloom, who says, "Hi, Lindsay."
Hello, Linda.
And actually, I think she's back here, and I'll start with this one, perhaps. It says, "Lindsay, what have you done to me? I have been corrupted. My job forces me to spend many long, boring hours on the internet, surfing and waiting mostly. Boring until I found your channel. But now I find myself ordering strange objects over the internet from Amazon. Just picked up the new teal Big Shot for $54, free shipping, and I have no idea what I'll be doing with it. Can you give me some ideas? I love the embossing feature. Hugs and kisses to you in the rain. We miss you."
Okay, so Big Shot, I'll answer that question first. Sounds like the same one that I have right here. Look at that. I think you have this one too, Kathy, don't you?
No, mine's the Kick.
The Big Kick? That's basically the same machine. Yeah, I mean, use it to emboss things, use it to die cut stuff. One thing I love to die cut is cereal boxes. They're free, they're in your recycling bin. You can die cut alphabets from it. What I would do is, the dyes are the big investment. That's where you're really going to spend money, the thick dyes. And I prefer thick dyes to thin dyes, and I'll kind of show you the difference here. I got a couple. I'll show you how I store my thin dyes too, because I don't have many thin dyes because you can only cut thinner stuff with them. So this is a thick dye, and this you can cut felt, leather, cardboard, metals like soda cans. You can cut anything with this stuff. Burlap, whatever. Balsa wood. Now these thinner ones, which are very popular right now, I only have a couple, they're only really for cardstock. And then you get the really detailed ones, which I'm going to show you this was kind of my regretful purchase. I wanted a doily die so bad. This is the most beautiful one I could find. It's by Cherry Lynn, and it is a gorgeous doily die. I've used it 5 times because it makes me want to throw it in a snowbank like a frisbee whenever I use it, because it's so aggravating, because it's so detailed and it's hard to cut. So I pretty much invest in the thick dyes because I know I can cut everything I want with them. And a really fun thing is to cut cereal boxes like, I wonder if I have that stuff. I haven't, my room, oh my gosh, it's so bad right now. Kathy can attest to that.
But I can. It's pretty much the worst I've ever seen it.
Well, I have a pile do you see a pile of gears around here? So, oh, here they are. So I cut these gears out of like a cereal box, and they kind of look like metal and stuff, so you can do that with those thicker dyes, and then you can cut them out of a cereal box, and a cereal box is still thin enough to emboss, so then I put it through an embossing folder, and then I painted it to get kind of like a cool grungy texture. So you really, you might be able to cut the cereal box with the thinner dyes, but you definitely can with the thicker ones, and then emboss. And embossing folders are fairly inexpensive, and like these go on sale at like AC Moore for $2. $1.88.
And the new line of Durace ones have some fantastic designs, and they're $3 regularly.
Yeah, they're not high. Like and I like they have this oversized.
They do have that.
These
oversized.
are like 5 by 7, and
which
the cuddle bugs are
which
smaller.
you don't see in other lines. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're a steal, and they have those AC Moore. And on a consumercrafts.com, they usually run about $2 to $3, and they go on sale. And they've really low prices there. Just start cutting and embossing and have fun. And do you have any other tips for that? Because you use your die.
Well, I do totally agree with putting most of your money into the thicker ones. I do not profess to be a frugal crafter. I like to collect stuff and spend way more money than I should, so I have a lot more of the thinner ones because I have absolutely no control. However, the thicker ones are so much more useful. Did a birthday party and we made little stuffed owls, and the thick one we could cut little felt eyes out and get it done in no time. And so you can just cut so much stuff. And the thinner ones are a little trickier. They're kind of scarier to deal with when you're peeling off the sticky back. But I have seen, at least for the snowflakes, they talk about in particular you cutting with wax paper.
Oh yeah, lots of wax paper in that.
It's supposed to make a huge difference, but I haven't even cut my snowflake dies. So I let Lindsay do all that stuff first.
Yeah, let me know how that works out for you. Don't bring them over here. Yeah. Oh, there was something cool that I did. Oh, I will show you my other die storage because I think this is kind of cool. It is a. I use a tea box, a box that you have tea in, and I actually keep my little thin dies.
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
That's very cool.
Because actually these are thin dies, but I find they have the ejection foam on them, and they're by Sizzix, and I find them a lot easier to cut with than just the thin wafer thin die.
It's just a good product all the way around. Really, can't complain about it.
Yeah, and these are cute. These are by that quill. What is that quilling company? The Quilled Creations or is it Quilled Creations?
Like that, yeah.
Little roll flowers with the foam, and I think that foam makes a big difference on how it cuts.
Yeah.
But I keep all my little dies right in there, and and really think about it when you buy a shape. Buy a shape that you're going to use a lot. Don't buy these friggin' little foo-fa things you're going to use one time and get sick of. Buy something that, buttons or, a swirl, something you're going to use time and time again. Like I've got several button dies. I love to cut my buttons. And they have these cool ones that are called embosslets that, I only have 2 of these. I have a button one and a snowflake one. And it reminded me when you said snowflakes, they cut and emboss. And they are expensive. They're like, this was like $11, I think. Do you have this one?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
but
Stampin' Up has it.
They're gorgeous, and you make little buttons, and there's no extra postage when you mail your cards with these little buttons on them. And I hope, is this still active? Do you know?
Yes.
Current?
Pretty sure.
Still in the catalog. Yay! I'm always talking about stuff that's been discontinued, and I make everybody feel very sorry for themselves. They can't get it. But yay! I love that die. It's one of my favorites.
Okay, Linda Bloom has a second comment. It says, "Hi Lindsay, what do you find is an appropriate price for your beautiful handmade cards? They are marvelous."
Well, I charge $7 for my watercolor cards, and I charge between $2 and $5 for my general ones. And I'd love to say they're worth more because I put a lot more time in it, and I'm not making a minimum wage like on a lot of them, but it's you have so many. If you make cards, you have so many that you might as well sell them and get some back. But I do find that, like, say if you make a card and you like it, make 2 more while you're at it, because if that first card took you 20 minutes, the other 2 will take you like 5. So that, if you make multiples, you'll get quicker at it.
Some of your money back that way.
Yeah, you can make, say if you made one, like if I made Kathy a birthday card, if I thought it was like a design somebody else might like, I might make 2 more, and then I can put it in my booth. Because it might take me a half an hour to make hers, might take me 5 minutes to make the other 2, because I already have my supplies out, I've already thought of the idea, and, it's just putting it together.
Hey, and she says, that lipstick has been discontinued. Love to you and Lorraine. Thank you so much for your entertaining videos.
You are welcome. And Lorraine traveling, she's taking the East Coast by storm. I heard from her last night. She was halfway to Florida. She's taking her her sweet time there. She has a lot of friends. She has a lot of friends on the way.
On the way down, must. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where she's a riot. She probably just knocks on people's door. Hey, mind if I crash on your couch?
You know me. I'm on the video.
Right? Yeah, famous.
Twinkle Toes today. Hi Lindsay, do you have any tips for getting rid of sticky residue left by old labels? Please,
Oh, yeah, is that the end? Yeah, first I use a heat gun to remove the old labels.
Okay, that she does say. I've seen someone, you maybe use a heat gun,
Yep.
but that doesn't work on all surfaces. Many thanks for your help, tips, and advice. I enjoy spending time with you.
Aw.
No.
I would use a little Goo Gone or a little baby oil. I tried Goo Gone first. Just put a little bit on like a cotton ball or Q-tip and try rubbing it, and that should take off the stuff. It's like a citrus-based adhesive remover. There's also Undo. That's also made by Goo Gone. There is Goof Off. Any of those should work. Just take a little bit on a Q-tip and test it in case it's on something that might stain out. Some plastics might affect oddly to that. It might make it cloudy. But yeah, just some adhesive remover there, right? In the hardware store, or even, do they still sell those in the craft store, like Undos? They still make that?
I think it's in the adhesive aisle,
Yeah.
like at AC Moore, where
Okay.
they have all the glues and glue sticks and stuff. I do think they sell some.
Yeah, any department store should have it too, but it might be in like with cleaning, it might be with, automotive, might
You
be with
get
hardware.
probably a better deal if you go to the hardware store,
yeah.
or like the, again, kind of automotive-y section at Walmart, and get a bigger container for a better price.
Yep, and the other thing that I like for that is to use it to blend your regular colored pencils, because a lot of people use Gamasol or odorless mineral spirits, and those are way more toxic than the Goof Off or the Undo. And the Undo smells better, and it'll do the same thing, and you don't have to have those stinky fumes. Because odorless mineral spirits are not non-toxic. I think we think because they don't smell so bad they're better for us. It's just it just smells less, but it's still toxic fumes. So I would stick with the Undo or the Goof Off for that.
And we had a question from 07 Bailey T. She says, "Hi Lindsay, what is Goo Gone? I'm from the UK and have not heard of it. Thanks, Tara."
It's an adhesive remover, and you probably have it. It's probably just called something different. The brand names we have here would be Goo Gone, Goof Off, Undo. Can you think of any other?
I can't. I think there's one that's, kind of a more generic name, like something adhesive.
Oops. There's one called Oops, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I can't. Yeah.
Yep. It's a petroleum distillate that is that how you say it? Distillate?
I think so.
You think so? And it's basically kind of like it's a solvent that will remove stickiness and adhesive, but it's not quite as strong as like mineral spirits. You might try mineral spirits. I think it's also called white spirit to remove stuff as well. But the Goof Off and the Oops and the Undo just smell better. They're not as toxic. They're citrus based.
Is it like the Undo that they specifically say like you can remove a sticker that's stuck on,
Yes.
and then like it will dry and still be stickable?
Yes.
It still can use it as a sticker, so it's pretty cool. I think a lot of them have, like, I think it's the Goo Gone in particular, will smell kind of orangey. They
Yep.
have orange essence or
Yep.
the oil in it because it breaks down sticky residue.
Yeah. Maybe you could even. I wonder if you could even like kind of squeeze an orange, get that oil
Yes,
off, and
yeah,
because it's very
I've
oily.
actually taken old labels off with
Peanut butter. Yeah.
Although it's kind of an expensive option, but
Yeah.
if you're really stuck and,
Yep.
I didn't have anything else, a
Yep.
little bit of peanut butter sit because the oil will...
Yep. And gum out of the hair, out of the kid's
Yeah.
hair with peanut butter. Yeah. So hopefully, if anybody is from, was she from the UK or was she?
UK,
If
yeah.
anybody's from the UK and wants to respond to her question on last week's video, and if you know what it's called or you know a brand name,
Where to find it.
where to find it, that would be great.
Tiffany Hawley says, "Hello. I've been thinking about starting up a blog and was wondering if you would have any tips or good free sites to use."
Well, I use WordPress and it is free, and Blogger is free. And the reason I went with WordPress so many years ago was because I thought it just looked a little more professional than Blogger. I do blog on a couple Blogger blogs because I'm on design teams and I'll hop in and do a quick post. Blogger is very easy to use, I will give it that, but you're a little bit more limited in templates. However, for Blogger, there's so many free backgrounds and stuff, but I have to say I find a lot of those free backgrounds that people use very distracting and hard to read, and they take a long time to load, and I'm busy, and if I'm checking out somebody's blog and it's taking more than 5 seconds to load, I'm gone. So keep that in mind. And for you to think 5 seconds isn't very long, let me just stop talking for 5 seconds and you can see how long this is. That's boring. Huh? Anybody still there? See? You're ready to snooze and, okay, what else is on YouTube today? This is freaking boring. So, I would avoid those custom cutesy templates and they always have little ads attached to them and stuff. I wouldn't use those. If you do decide to go with Blogger, I would keep it simple. Blogger also, has, I think it's kind of like MySpace. Blogger reminds me of MySpace. When you see those MySpace pages, and there would be glitter and black backgrounds and hard to read text, and it would just be very... It looked like a 5-year-old designed it, and I kind of, not to say that all Blogger blogs look like that, absolutely not, but there's so many options like that you can get for Blogger blogs that I think it's very tempting to add music and to do this and to do that. You lose the essence of what you're trying to communicate, which is probably your artwork or about your day. I find WordPress to be a lot more professional looking, and it's more streamlined. It's quicker to load because it doesn't have all those, gadgets and things. They're called widgets you can add on, to get your blog to do what you want. But I'm really happy with WordPress, and I think they're very optimized. So it didn't take very long for my blog to take off, and I think it's because they send your keywords and stuff into the search engines. I think they do a good job at that, even on their free websites. And I don't know if Blogger does that, which is kind of weird because Blogger's owned by Google, and so you'd think that they would,
be right
showcase
on top of that.
Showcase their blogs first. But it just might be because there's so many more Blogger blogs than WordPress. There are some paid ones that look nice. Typepad blogs look very nice, but I believe there's a fee for those. But I've been more than happy with WordPress. The only downside to WordPress is that they do not allow advertising. So there's some, like, they say if your advertising goes with the content of your blog, then it's fine. So say if someone makes a the scoring board and they want me to use it, and I use that, and I want to promote that, then I could totally do that if any advertising is in line with what you're showcasing on your blog. But I couldn't run ads for a car store or for this or for that, because that would be unrelated and that would get your blog shut down. But sometimes even when you do have related content, I've had my blog put on suspension for a couple hours because a link that I put in, it was for scrapbooking software, but they recognized it as a software company that might be a little shady, and my blog was out of commission for half a day. I was freaking out. I was thinking that I completely lost my blog. Yes. And this was
I remember that.
Oh my gosh, I was under a breakdown. But so that's the limitation. But because of those limitations, WordPress blogs tend to rank really high in search rankings. They look great, they load quickly, they're just very slick and professional looking. But it is also harder to use in Blogger. So ease of use, Blogger gets high marks. A really professional, streamlined look, WordPress gets high marks. They're both good services. They're both free, and there may be other free ones too. But I've used both of those, and I think either will work out fine for you depending on what you want.
Okay.
Was that confusing? Did that not answer a
no,
question?
I don't. I think
confusing.
you completely answered it.
Okay.
And certainly, I guess if there's any other people out there that use a different kind of form that's free, if that's just more particular, interested in a free one, which that's what it says, then they could probably make a comment too if they have more experience with something else.
And you can go pro in WordPress. You can go and switch over to a professional blog where you pay a yearly fee, and then you can allow your advertising. I think it's probably, if you're paying that fee, then you know what you want to advertise. You're not some fly by night. They just don't want people out there selling, affiliate marketers that are out there, just selling software and stuff like that doesn't have any, that may or may not
just using their space and taking advantage of it, basically, as opposed to being a real,
and not providing
real content and real.
They want content.
Henry Cruiser says, I got a set of 24 portfolio water-soluble oil pastels for Christmas and haven't a clue how to use them. I mainly make cards, but I'm wanting to start some kind of art journal, though I'm not an artist, where I can experiment. Are they good to color on stamped images? And since they are water-soluble, I assume they must be used on watercolor paper. Could I use them for a canvas art project? Wondering if you have a tutorial on general use of the water-soluble oil pastels. Thank you so much.
I have one tutorial on doing a painting with water-soluble oil pastels, and they are the Portfolio brand, and I think they are fabulous. So a few ideas that you can do with this. You don't have to use watercolor paper. In fact, I like using colored cardstock or matte board scraps or pastel paper. It can be used on anything, journal pages. One thing that's really fun is to take a stencil, put it down your page, color over it with the Portfolio pastels, and then use a baby wipe to blend it. Any technique you see gelatos being used for, you can use your Portfolio water-soluble pastels. You can go right on raw paper. You could gesso your paper first. Once you've blended it around, it's pretty much going to stay put, but you could give it a coat of fixative or hairspray or sealer when you're done if you're, worried about it getting wet or working on top of it. You could use them for any techniques you see watercolor crayons used for. They are a fabulous medium. You can use them on stamps. They don't stick to the stamps quite as easily as the watercolor crayons or markers, because they have a greasiness to them. I think they're a little bit greasier than and a little bit creamier than gelatos, so they're not going to stick quite as well as those mediums, but they are almost, like, I would say, like if you put gelatos here and you put Portfolio here, and gelatos are a little bit drier and the Portfolios are maybe a little bit oilier, I would say they overlap about 95%. There's only probably about a 5% difference between those two products. And the Portfolios you can get 24 for like under $10 on Amazon. So I mean, they're very affordable. So yeah, use it for any techniques you see with gelatos or watercolor crayons. Experiment them. They're great with stencils. They blend great with your finger or a wet brush or baby wipe, and they can be used on any type of paper. They're fabulous.
And they should probably check back in
I should
your
put a link.
videos, because you have some stuff doing gelatos. Do you have anything specifically with the oil pastels? Do you know?
I just have the one. I think I just have the one tutorial where I did the painting of a Christmas cactus with the oil pastels. But if you go to my channel, if you click on if you look at below the video and you click on my name, The Frugal Crafter, it'll take you to my channel, and there's a little magnifying glass. If you just click there, you could type like gelatos or Portfolio oil pastels, and it'll show you the relevant videos.
And then I do know, like, my home craft channel.
Oh, my craft channel.
They now have the Faber-Castell, like,
show.
little...
Yeah, with Donna Downey. That's a good show. Yeah, and they have lots of... she uses the gelatos a lot, and you can get a lot of techniques and ideas from those videos.
You certainly find out what they can't do, too.
Oh, yeah.
Some of if it doesn't really work with some of those techniques, but they all seem to be pretty quick.
Yes.
Easy,
yeah.
And
the best way to learn is just to do it, just to grab them, play with them. It's going to take you a long time to use them up, so just play and use them, and then if you get through that box, go buy another one. They're not that expensive, Play with it. That's what you bought them for.
Okay. Chef Mimsy? Lindsay, I'm in awe of your energy. A few questions here. So am I.
I'm drinking herbal tea, red raspberry herbal tea today. I'm being so good. I'm so virtuous. I've already had a pot of coffee this morning, so. That's a little pot.
It's the
middle, but it's not. You've seen my coffee maker. It's tiny.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's wee. It's like 4 cups. Like 2 of my mugs.
2 of those mugs already today?
Yeah. Well, I've walked the dog already. I've burnt some of that caffeine off.
Okay, so the first question. With all you've got going on in your life, how do you find time to do the volume of crafting that you do? And how do you manage to keep your interest going in so many different types of crafting?
Well, I love to create stuff, so it's not hard keeping the interest. I find that there are certain things that will derail my productivity, and I try to avoid those things. Like email is a big productivity derailer. So like I get up in the morning, I have my coffee, and I just select every email I have, and I go through and I pick the ones that I actually am going to read. And any of those emails that I can deal with in 5 minutes or less, I deal with them then. And the other one I just leave. And I do that several times throughout the day. Like if I'm at lunch, when I take a lunch break, I'll sit down and I'll do the mass delete again. And then at the end of the day, I can actually go through and see what I actually need to
what you have left.
Deal with it.
More time.
Otherwise, I mean, if I just click through every email one by one, I would never leave the computer. So that's what my first thing is, to avoid things that derail me. If I've got a lot to do, as soon as the kids are on the bus and I've walked the dog, I come right downstairs and I work from 9 until 1. And then I'll take a lunch break, and then I might do a quick tidy up. But a lot of times I wait till after the kids are home from school and they've dropped all their bags and they've got their homework done to kind of pick up. So it's really not too bad in the morning usually, because I've kind of picked up at night.
At night.
Because I don't see the point in doing it 5 times a day. Do it once, and rather than just repeat and waste all my energy doing that. I know my most productive time in the day is between 10 and 1. So I want to make sure that I'm in my studio doing something productive then. I used to keep scraps of paper everywhere with all my ideas of things I wanted to try, but I would lose them and I would forget. So I actually spent 88 cents at Martin's and bought a planner, and I write down each day what like videos I want to shoot, what articles I want to write, what I want to blog, what techniques I want to try. And if I get done ahead of time, I'll skip and grab something from another day and get that done. So then I'll have like a day every once in a while, a full day, just to experiment with projects and not have a specific goal in mind.
And stuff you have to do.
Right, and I find the busier I am, the more productive I am. So if it's like, if I have signed up to volunteer here, or sign up to do a project with Boy Scouts, or go to the school and do some work, then I find that I get a lot more done because I'm grabbing those little bits of time. And that's the other thing, grabbing the bits of time. So a lot of people say they have 15 minutes before the kids get home from school, so they might go sit at the computer. Well, if you have 15 minutes, you could color an image to stick on a card. You could cut some card bases.
That's what I have a hard time with.
You know,
I don't make any use of that little time. Like if my goal is always trying to work towards having a whole block of time to do something and really accomplish something, and then of course you keep saying, oh well, I need to finish this first and finish this first before you ever give time to yourself. And I don't. Oh, the kids are going to be home at such and such time. Well, I guess I'm not going to work on that today.
Yeah, you've got to grab that time, and and there's all this time, these blocks of times we don't even think of being as free. So it's like my kids do lots of sports. So there's like Saturdays I am at the school watching the kids practice or play basketball for about 4 hours. So I bring my crochet or my knitting because I can sit there, I can jibber jabber with my friends, watch the kids do the thing while I'm crocheting or knitting, and I don't bring anything too elaborate that I had to think about too much. But I can get a chunk of work done in that amount of time while I'm socializing and watching my kids do their sports. So it's and the waiting room times, anything like that. If you're at the dentist, or if you're I remember when I was pregnant with the twins, we were she has twins too, so how like those last few months you're at the doctor's office every week getting poked and prodded, and that waiting room time.
Yeah,
it's
I was
like
working full time.
Oh well, those times where you're in the waiting room, that's prime time to get some I crocheted little baby slippers, little baby booties, and it's just making use of all those little scraps. No, and that's the other thing, sleep. I have to get 7.5 hours of sleep. Yeah. Or like the other night, I did a video. I was down here. It was like Jason was watching a football game, Patriots game.
Yeah, I watched it.
And I was like, I'm down here midnight. I could not fall asleep. It was 2 a.m. I'm just like, because my body must have thought, hey, it's 10 a.m. She's down here crafting, So I was like, wow, awake. The rest of the night that threw me off. I had to sleep until like 9:30 in the morning on Sunday just to make up for that. That was I need 7 to 7.5 hours every night solid, or I'm a wreck. So
well, I think I can add to that really the thing that Lindsay does that makes it so that she can do the volume of crafting is that she has made crafting a priority. It's an intrinsic part of who she is, and she would not be happy otherwise, and it's a priority to her. So you make time for your priorities. And some of us, I'm sure, have a hard time because obviously a lot of this has become your business, but it hasn't always been, and a lot of what you do isn't necessarily financially generating. But for moms especially, I think to make kind of what we consider me time, or not like you're really doing something constructive, because we need it, we want it, and we consider it play, so we don't make it a priority. It's like a necessity, and that's what you've been able to do.
I remember feeling guilty at first, it's like I would put all the kids down for a nap at the same time, because my kids are very close in age. My twins were born when my son wasn't even 2 yet, so they were always nap at the same time, and I'd grab all my supplies, and I would sit on my bedroom floor and just scrapbook as much as I could, and then they'd wake up, and I'd be like, oh, and then I'd feel so guilty that I felt bad that they were
awake.
That they were awake, or sometimes if I couldn't get them all to sleep at once, because every day that was my goal, they were all going to nap at the same time, so I could get something done, and then I would be mad if one of them, I'd just get the twins down, and my son would wake up, and it's like, no, come on.
Well, at least yours napped.
yeah, her twins. We've been friends. We met in a twins group, and her babies didn't nap.
Well, but my kids are big nappers, and it's mostly probably my fault because I'm not very structured. But my son, who's almost 5 when the twins were born, stopped napping at a year or before a year, and his naps were 20 minutes long.
Oh,
and then the girls were done napping at just over a year.
Jackson napped probably, the girls I think give their naps at the same time Jack did, so I got like probably about 2 years of them all napping together. That
That
was
would be ideal.
That was great. But I mean, it was hard to get them on that schedule, but I was like determined they are on that schedule, because then if I wanted to go out somewhere, I wanted them all to be perky and ready to go. I didn't want to have cranky kids with me. And but yeah, make use of your small little scraps of time, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. If you're watching TV at night, you know, bring something, you do something you can do while you don't need complete brain power, that, you know, color an image.
And part of that too is having some kind of organization
Yep.
to your stuff. Like if you have it scattered everywhere, not really sure where everything is, like, so first part might be to kind of organize little 15-minute kits or something.
Yeah, put them in Ziploc baggies or something.
Just little, you know, stamp out some cards and get them ready and put the tin of markers or whatever in there so that you can grab things and actually make use of that time.
Well, I started putting everything back in tins. Well, you've seen those, like, oh, it's such a mess. I can't. I'd be so ashamed if you saw my room. I'm ashamed that Kathy's seeing my room right now. But
You've seen my house. I have no worries to that.
Oh, I started putting everything in tins because I find that I was just using these tiny little sets of pencils that were in tins. So it's like, well, why don't I put everything back into tins that I've had out in my racks, and then I could take my tins upstairs and in the cold winter in front of the fire, and I could color while I'm watching TV or something. So, yeah, I feel very scattered. The room is in this state of disarray right now, but...
Yeah, because I'm really, I mean, if she has kids and they're sitting to do homework, I mean, to take that time to, like, sit at the table with them and color or draw or pen down some ideas, and you're still with them, you're still available to them, and consider that, you know, part of your job.
Yeah. Yep, you got to take that time. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to say, "Here you go, dear. Here's 3 hours to create." No, you got to find it yourself, and you got to take it. It's your responsibility if you want to be creative.
And she goes on to say, I must have crafting ADD, because as soon as I begin to get the hang of something, I want to try something else. Do you have that problem too? Since money isn't unlimited for me, and really, for whom is it unlimited? I've made a pact with myself that I'm not going to try anything new unless it can incorporate supplies I've already purchased from other crafting adventures. So, my latest adventure is art journaling. Since I have zero drawability, I utilize lots of stencils, rub-on stamps, as well as image transfers from stuff I found online. My inkjet printer transfers quite well for me. I'm concerned about any type of copyright infringement of things that artists have posted online, and wondering if there's some type of fair use of other people's artwork and photographs to create my own artwork. Being someone who truly appreciates art, I have the utmost respect for real artists and don't want to step on any toes by altering an image or something someone else may have created, even though they'll never even see it. What are the rules here?
Well, sometimes, was she done? Was that the end?
There's another question too. It's like a different topic, really, but
okay.
Also, upon your recommendation, I bought a handful of ink tent pencils, and you were spot on about them. They are so much richer than any of the 3 other brands of watercolor pencils I have. I got ink tent pencils for Christmas.
I got
too, and I haven't tried them yet. Which I now call future Goodwill donations. They are on my top list for gradual acquisition. Thanks for answering my questions, and thanks for being you. Apologizing for being in maximum verbosity mode.
Or maximum verbosity.
Good use of vocabulary.
Yes, love that. Okay, so, well, any, like, vintage image, what is it, like 75 years, I think, after an image is published, it's public domain. So, like, there's a great website called The Graphics Fairy, and she posts, it's actually a Blogspot blog, but it's very well done Blogspot blog.
Yep. I forget to go there, because they have gorgeous stuff.
And it's searchable, so, like, you go there, say if you want, like, a picture of a mason jar, you can type in mason jar and get images, tons and tons. So then, those are all copyright free. I mean, they're all public domain, so you can use them without copyright worries. There are also some, and I actually these books are great if you can find them. They are Memories of a Lifetime. They have copyright free images for Macs and PCs, and you can scan them, or you can cut them out if you wanted to, but they have a CD that you can print off what you want. There was, I don't know, maybe a dozen different versions of these.
Are those through Dover? Do they come from Dover Publications?
They're from Sterling Publication. The Dover has the same idea.
Is an excellent place for clip art.
And the thing I like about those, having them in the book form, is that you're not going to get derailed on the computer. I get derailed on the computer. I sit down for one thing. I sit down to figure out how to, because there was some sort of steak in the fridge last night, and I thought I'd cook that for my husband. because I was making vegetable dal, which I'm going to feed some of that to Kathy for lunch. Hopefully she likes it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. But so there was some kind of steak in the fridge, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I went online. And
Kathy's not a vegetarian or vegan. I'm a happy meat eater.
She might prefer the steak. I don't know. So like you go in there. And then, well, while I'm here, I'll just check my email, and I have to say, stop, Lindsay, you're never going to get your husband a steak if you check your email. So, like, because it's in a book, I'm not going to get derailed by, if I copy it, if I have to go print it off. But still, if I stay off the internet, I'm much more likely to get my stuff done and not get sidetracked or distracted, because I'm a little ADD too. I have a lot of things going. Like currently on my table, I almost want to show you but it's so embarrassing. I've got like 5 different projects out. I've got supplies piled up. I've got like starts and stabs at different things going. So I have a lot of things going at once. Because I don't like to, because when you stall out on a project, sometimes it's better just to jump to something else, and you'll think of the way to fix the first thing once you're doing.
When you step away and your mind relaxes. Yeah.
Yep. So, and the thing is, like, I rarely go to the store. I will try something. If I get an idea, I can usually make it do with something that I already have, and that comes from having a variety of basic supplies. So like if you saw something with the gelatos, but you don't have gelatos, you can use your watercolor. If you have watercolor crayons, if you have the portfolio water soluble oil pastels, you can find something that you can try those techniques with. You don't have to have every single supply that the person's using on YouTube or wherever you're seeing it in a magazine. You can, you want to try a pan pastel technique, but you don't have pan pastels, find some chalk, make it work with what you have. You don't say, I can't try that because I don't have that. Don't close yourself off. Think, well, I'll try that because I can use this and that. I can use, I can trade the kids' marker box for some watercolor markers to try stamping with markers. So.
Well, I think that's another trait that you have that a lot of us don't, basically, is no fear. No fear to try. You're not worried about doing it wrong or failing.
Well, it's just nobody has to see it.
Learn something from it, so you always will haul something out and see if this will work. Where a lot of us don't dare to try to see if it works. So
gotta try. There's nothing ventured, nothing gained, and nothing to lose, really. I mean, the paper's pretty cheap, really, when you think about it.
And I think at least when I went to get some stuff copied from my mom's memory box, if a photo is over 40 years old, then they would copy it for me. So I assume that must be the lines of photographs, like for professional photos.
Interesting.
Of course, it wasn't an issue, really, because my grandfather was a professional photographer. But that's what they told me there. So I don't know if that's different than general art or
right. And a lot of websites that sell clip art, if it's for personal use, you can use it. So that would be your art journal would be personal use unless you're selling your journal pages. So
but I'm wondering, do you think where she's talked about other people's artwork, do you think maybe she's talked about like when she's seen other people's like art journal or a page, like kind of taking that image?
I don't know. I was thinking she's more talking about like maybe like a picture of a painting, and she wants to like transfer that painting onto a page and then like doodle over it and stuff.
But that's not really clip art.
Yeah,
that would be their art.
That would be
but
their.
Do you think
that? Yeah, because the clip art's usually designed for commercial use anyway.
Right.
The safest way, if you love a painting and you want to do that, the safest thing to do would be just to email the artist if it's on a blog or something and ask if you mind, and tell them exactly what you're going to do with it, and they'll probably say fine, or they'll say no way. I had a situation once I was a teenager, and I had painted this picture of a young girl, and somebody had bought the painting, taken a photograph of it, and superimposed a skull over it, and was selling it. And I was a little ticked off because that was not the intention of my painting, and you could clearly see my signature on the bottom of the painting. And I saw it in a gallery, actually, and I was like, that is a photograph of my painting. And they took it right down, no questions asked. And then I contacted the person that took the photo. I said, listen, that's not the intent of the painting that you bought and then you photograph. So I mean, I think intent has a lot to do with it.
Right.
So it doesn't hurt to ask or find, you can do a Google search for public domain images. There's clicker.com, is all copyright free clip art. There's open clip art, which is all copyright free. People make it and generously donate it, or it is old and that's why it's there. So that would be my advice.
V.A. Pearl says, great Ask a Crafter. Got at least 3 questions answered from other inquiring minds. I do, however, have one for next time, or this time. I have heard this term many times, but I'm not sure why everyone is so smitten with this stuff. Chipboard. Well, at least she can remember the name, because every conversation I have with Lindsay, it's like, that stuff. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
I never, ever can remember the name of it. Can you please explain to me why mixed media crafters and scrapbookers are so taken with this stuff? Maybe I will be on the chipboard bandwagon too if I knew what it is and how to use it. Thanks for all your knowledge in advance.
Well, it's basically fancy cardboard. I remember when it was kind of all the rage, and they had a couple packs where there was like a pack of alphabets, and there was a pack of shapes, and it was by color box, and I think it was at Joann's or AC Moore or something, and I got it on sale. And the thing that would frustrate me I'd use all the E's, and it's like, well, I don't have any more E's, so I can't spell any more words, so it was like very frustrating. But there were little birds, and there was like just little frames, and you could paint them because they're just raw, so you can paint them to match whatever scrapbook page or card you wanted. Something else that's really cool is I have a little leather punch. It's like an alphabet, and it's made out of metal, and it's you can hammer on the back of them and punch letters. You can do that in chipboard. You can, spray ink it. You can emboss it. It'll emboss in your embossing machine. But like I mentioned before, I use cereal boxes. I don't buy chipboard anymore. I use cereal boxes and cut it. I can even cut a cereal box with my Cricut. So as long as it's nothing too detailed, I have to tape it down to the mat so it will stick. But I can cut cereal box with my Cricut. And I can't do that with the purchased chipboard because it's too thick. But basically, I think the thing that people like about it is that it's a blank canvas. You can paint it and do whatever you want with it.
And it gives you a little bit of dimension, but not too much.
Yep.
Like it really doesn't bulk things up, and you can still, send cards. And
Exactly. And like you can cover it with pattern paper, or you could actually just cut like 5 of the same thing out of cardstock and glue them together, like with your Cricut or Silhouette or with your regular die cutter. You can cut chipboard with your thick dies on your die cutter too. It's just a fun medium that gives you extra dimension. But it isn't necessarily acid free, so I will let you know that. So you might as well use your cereal boxes because it's about the same stuff. And you can glue a couple layers together if you want a little bit thicker, like traditional chipboard. But I just think that's what people like about it. It can be a base for mini albums. It's just a little more hefty than cardstock for doing stuff like that.
And Stacy LaRose says, great video. Loads of laughs and lots of helpful info. Embarrassed to say this is the first Ask Crafter video I have watched, but I am definitely going back to watch older videos. My question is, what is the difference between Copic markers, Spectrum Noir markers, and Letraset Pantone markers? Besides paper products, what else can they be used on? Plastics, metal, etc.? Thanks. Your videos totally rock.
Thank you. They can be used on any non-porous surface and on paper. On paper, they have wonderful blending capabilities, and all the markers that you mentioned are alcohol-based. Most permanent markers are alcohol-based, with the exception of Chart Pack markers. Those are xylene based, and those are great for doing transfers, like transferring photocopies and laser printed images. But the nice thing about those alcohol markers is they all work together. So if you look at my rack over here, I have Copics, I have Prismacolors, I have Spectrum Noir, I have all these different brands, and I can use them all together. And I can also grab like a package of Bic markets. When I started out, I had a package of 36 Bic markets. They were $14 at the time at Sam's Club. They don't sell them anymore at Sam's. I think now they're more like $18 at Target or Staples. And then I went to AC Moore and I bought really light shades of the Prismacolor markers because that's what they sold. And with those 36 Bic markets and the few light Prismacolors, I could get a full range of colors. So, use them, and that's a great way that you can try out different brands and see what you really like before you invest in a whole set of something or a large amount of some, because they can get expensive. The cheapest ones right now, I think, are the Spectrum Noirs, and these I got on sale for $25. This package was $25 on this consumercrafts.com, and I kind of kicked myself that I didn't buy each color family when they were on sale.
That would be my fault. The one time I was trying to be frugal, she called me stressing and didn't want to spend the money. Should she spend the money? And I talked her down. Which is
so unlike her.
I'm a disabler and more than happy to help other people spend their money. And she got the markers and used them and loved them and wished she'd bought them. And
But the funny thing is, I almost didn't buy them because I bought a pack of the Flesh Tones at AC Moore of that same brand, and they were so dry and miserable. So, but then the price, like $25 for like 36 markers, I couldn't resist it, and those were juicy and wonderful. So lighter markers do also tend to be a little drier, but yeah, I would try a couple markers of each different kind and see what you like the best, and see if the extra cost of Copics are worth it for you, and then, you know, purchase what's right for you.
Scrapping Happy says, hi, how do you afford all of your craft supplies or budget? Because craft supplies are high these days. Any info would be great. Thanks for your help, Dwayne.
Okay, well, as you may or may not know, I don't know, I'm a semi-professional crafter, I guess you could say. So I work for some companies. I work for Paper Mart. I do weekly videos for them, and they send me the supplies to use, like this gorgeous baker's twine, for instance, is from Paper Mart. They have great prices, and I would shop with them anyway, but that's, you know, they hire me to do their videos, so that's just a wonderful bonus. Also, I'm on the design team of a few, actually my favorite stamp companies, so I get the stamps I want for free from them because, well, not really for free, because I'm providing them with videos and promotion, which makes more people buy their stamps. So that's kind of how design team works. So, and I do write articles for Scrap and Stamp Arts magazine, so occasionally people will send me stuff that they would like me to try out and review. Once I was working on an article on markers, and I wanted to represent all these different companies, but I couldn't afford to go buy markers from everybody. So I just sent out letters to the companies that I was interested in reviewing and said, would you mind sending me a sample? Well, you know, that's how I get a lot of my supplies, because I'm on design teams. But then again, I love a good sale, so instead of just like saying I have, you know, $30 a month to blow on craft stuff, I wouldn't just spend it because I had it. I would wait until like I found a really great buy, or like Martin's, the yarn sale and the needles and stuff. I would save up my money, and then when I had when there was a really great deal, then I would buy. So that really helps your craft money go further. Like if you get money for your birthday or Christmas or something like that, holding on to that until you really have you really either have a need or you find a really great sale, because that's the time to spend. Sometimes a dollar store will get yarn in.
Never pay full price.
Never pay full price. You really don't need to. I mean, in our country, you know, I mean, it's harder when you're in other countries where they don't have the supply. Like what really burns me is that my friends in the UK, they saw my Martin's haul, and they're like, we can't get yarn. I mean, that little ball of yarn that you got for $2.50 would cost $10 here. And it really burns me because it's made in Turkey and it's part of the European Union. It's like, why can't they get the yarn? They should be able to get it cheaper any day of the week than we can, because it's just gotta waltz over a couple countries and it's right there. It's, you know, there's supposed to be free trade there. It's really frustrating when I hear that they have to pay so much. But in our country, you know, you can use coupons at AC Moore, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Archivers, all of those stores, Joann's, for anything you really want. And you know, check yard sales. And do you have any tips? You get good buys on stuff.
The other thing on top of that is you also have to realize that Lindsay didn't just start crafting a year ago or 5 years ago. You have been an artist all your life and have collected stuff all your life, and you also make use of what you have around you. You recycle. Like, she doesn't buy chipboard. She doesn't, you know, she knits, so she also uses yarn for card making and scrapbooking. And I've been sewing, unfortunately, longer than Lindsay's been alive. So I've been collecting thread and fabric, and when I made a crossover to, you know, start doing scrapbooking and everything, there's so many of those supplies that cross over that she already had. So it takes a long time before you have a room that looks like this. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to have a room that looks like this. Like she's talked about time and time again, basic supplies that you can use for many different mediums that will work in any case. And
yeah, all this stuff being called mixed media now, it's just art supplies. I mean, I've had these supplies. I used to teach, you know, 6 classes a week to all age levels. So I had the pastels, I had the watercolor crayons, I had the watercolor paints and the acrylic paints and the oil paints. So it wasn't called mixed media back then. I had the Pearlex for different things. Now that stuff is really hot right now, popular craft supplies, but they were all, you know, art supplies back then. So I still have them, even though they're, you know, 5 times more expensive now because they've been marketed to, you know, mixed media artists and crafters. Right. You know, I don't get rid of stuff. I think about stuff before I buy it, and then I hang on to it until it's no longer good or I've used it up.
And again, your kind of philosophy, and anybody's philosophy should be, is really like the same as is with clothing. You know, everybody should have that perfect little black dress, or, you know, the suit coat that crosses over through seasons and stuff. Is that, you know, once you have those main basic classic things that don't go out of style, then not just purchase for, you know, the fads and the up and coming.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see that a lot with stamping. There will be like things will be very fatty, like owls will be very popular for quite a while.
Yeah.
Then they'll kind of wean off. Then cupcakes, then they'll kind of wean off. There's certain things that you could like, oh, I bought that in 1992 for sure. You just know exactly when you got something because it was when the fad was at its height. So you have to be really careful with stamping, not to buy a ton of stuff that's just really trendy. Buy stuff that will last, unless you don't mind, and you have the money to turn over your stock every, couple of months.
Okay, next question from Sheila Johnson. I'm looking into jewelry making with resin. I'm familiar with Easy Cast and such, but what are your thoughts on the resin that is available at stores like Lowe's? Thank you, Lindsay.
She's probably talking about the Envirotex Light, which is like a bar finish kind of. It's like a pour-on finish that people use to like make the bars really glossy, or you can use it in trays. You can absolutely use that to encase to make jewelry and stuff. I think that yellows a little bit. I've used it on trays before. I don't think it's any cheaper than the stuff you get at the craft store. I think it's about the same cost as like an Easy Cast. There's
probably no coupons there either.
No coupons at Lowe's. Might be a couple bucks cheaper regular price, but with a coupon it's so much cheaper at the craft store. There's another resin that I recently saw, and it's I think it was called like Amazing or something like that, and it's white and it cures in minutes. And I was really excited about that until I looked at it, and it reminded me of the resin figurines that you could get to paint or you buy for Christmas time, and you drop those once and they are brittle.
Shatter.
And most things, if it cures quick, it's brittle. Super glue is brittle. Cures quick, it's very brittle. So so I think I would probably pass on something like that if it was something that you could make something cool for the wall, or maybe mold something and do some detail work on your wall where it's not going to get dropped. But I don't think it'd be suitable for jewelry. But I think the Envirotex Light would be suitable for jewelry, like pouring into bottle caps or cabochons, or even brushing over your Scrabble tiles. I think it's self-leveling though, so I don't know I don't think it would dome very well if you're doing like Scrabble tiles and you want to have the nice dome of resin. I would try to find somebody that's working on a project with it, because once you mix it up, you've got to use it or lose it. And see if you could just kind of scoop a little bit up and try it. If you know anyone refinishing a bar or using it for another project.
I don't know that much about the resin, but I just watched a paper bead video where this woman was resin coating them, but it was after they were already coated with the Mod Podge or something, because the resin sinks into the paper. And that was something interesting that she did, is she coated the paper with it because it gets this translucent look to it and kind of turns into a plastic. It was flexible but plasticky. It was really very cool. And she had, I think, ice resin.
Yep.
And it was older, and her hardener had yellowed. And she was just making the paper beads. She was not going to use them for jewelry. Was not going to sell them. So she was going to go for it, and she did, and used it, and it, just a thin coating. And she said, they looked gorgeous, and they weren't even that yellow, and it got through. And that has the 30-minute, or just about a 30-minute window working with it. So that seemed.
Yeah, I've heard that's a quick one.
It's kind of, but the open, it wasn't all hard and stuff, but your working time, to have it in the container
pot
and
time's 30 minutes.
cover the beads and stuff was 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I thought that was, especially for something like what she was doing, where she was trying to coat individual beads. I thought that seemed like a one that I would want to try.
I was going to try that when they were sold out at Joanne. They had it.
Oh, that's the one that you were looking into.
Yeah, so they were sold out, so I got the.
Well, I think we should check it out, because it seemed. And she's like, I thought the ice resin people were probably freaking out, because there's all these rules to how to mix it, and she wasn't doing any of them, and she was using it after it yellowed, but for her purposes, and she had enough experience with it. It worked.
Yeah. I mean, I think you want those ideal conditions the first time you do it, definitely, and then you can kind of, well, it's a little bit cooler down here, I'm going to add a little more hardener to it. You can start to play with it a bit once you've kind of done it in ideal conditions and made it work.
Okay, KK Barnes says, I bought some eyeshadow called Mica Bella. I never figured out how to wear it, so it looked nice. Can I use this for my crafting since I already have it?
Absolutely. It's probably better than any of the Pearlex we can buy, because it has to be cosmetic grade. Yep, I use, actually have some that's really cheap. It's from the dollar store. I got it in every color they had. They have it at Family Dollar too, as well as the Dollar Tree, but this is LA Colors. And it has the thing I love about it, because I have Pearl Ex too, but I often reach for this because it's got a cute little brush in there.
Yes, it is.
And it's spill proof. So like if I drop it, I'm only going to lose a little bit. I'm not going to drop a whole pot on the floor that cost me, $7.99 plus tax. This is like $1 and comes in cute colors, and it works just the same as Pearl Ex, and you just brush it on. Just brush it on. If you stamp something with like a Versamark pad or a pigmenting pad, Versamark's a little better, or a clear ink pad, just because you won't get color on your brush if you're using like a makeup brush. And you just dust it right over it and it will stick, and yeah, use it for anything you'd use Pearl Ex for. It will work just fine. I feel like I should tidy up while you're asking questions. I'm feeling like I should be multitasking here. It's so trash.
No, leave the mess. I want you to deal with it. You made it. Just stew in it for a while.
Learn your lesson.
Justine Stone says, Lindsay, I remember watching Ask the Crafter, and someone was asking about recordable cards. Stamp 'em Up has them right now on their clearance blitz rack. Ooh. Any chance you would do a tutorial on memento markers? Thank you.
I have used memento markers in many tutorials. I'm just trying to think how the best way I probably didn't tag them very well in YouTube. Trying to think what I think when I used these, I did this little paper drum. This was last week. This little paper drum, I used the memento markers on the images there. I think if you search stamping with markers or markers to stamp on my blog or on YouTube, I think it's just a little easier to search on my blog. You can find tutorials with memento. And I did a gladiola painting with memento markers too. And any water-based marker tutorials will translate to memento markers. I use them all mixed up. I mix them up with different brands.
Okay. Shannon McCullum says, Hi Lindsay, I am new to your channel and am loving it. I'm a paper beader and especially loved your video on Pandora style beads. I just can't stop making them. Anyways, my question is, do you have any archive videos or upcoming videos on fancy styled paper beads? Thanks so much, Shannon from Auburn, Washington.
Oh, well, I did a paper bead earring on making Christmas tree shaped paper beads. I think if you just search paper bead on my channel, you'll find whatever ones I've done. I did some where I took a stick from a glow stick case and I covered it with rice paper and made some beads that way. They were kind of fun. I kind of go through phases with the paper beads. Like right now I've got this jug here that's waiting to be varnished, kind of just hanging out there. So I was thinking, oh, when I fill that, I'll varnish it. When I fill this, there's no way I'm going to sit down and varnish all these. Nope, those can stay unvarnished. And I have a little styrofoam piece with toothpicks in it that have been waxed that I dry them on. So I'll probably do some more. When I'm in the mood, I'll do another paper bead video. I haven't done anything too fancy as far as paper beads. I think the Pandora is probably the fanciest I've ever gotten. Or the tube beads with wire and glow stick tubes. And rice paper. That one was kind of cool.
Those were pretty fancy.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Maybe I'll put a link. Ha!
I will write
I'm going to link to that. Sure.
Put a link.
Look under the video. It's in the video description. Gosh, I feel like we've been talking for like an hour. I have no idea how long this camera's been going.
Is it going to shut up on us?
I hope not. It shuts off. It restarts every 20 minutes on a new file.
Jazz Monkeyification says, Hi Lindsay. Thanks so much for answering my question last week. Really helpful. Hello to Kathy. Hello to you too. Thank you. Hope you're not hiding out of the shot.
She's hiding out of the shot.
Indeed I am.
And her hair looks good. She's makeup on. Her sweater matches mine. She'd totally be standing in front of the camera.
I remember when the rain used to hide. I think I would too, though. I just wonder whether you have tried needle felting or whether you do much with polymer clay. I love these two crafts but have brain fog and could do with some new ideas. A cheerful wave from the UK.
A cheerful wave back. Have you done? I have not done needle felting. Have you?
No.
No.
No, I really would love to because I'm first and foremost a sewer.
Yep.
And the felt and the clothness.
Yes,
fiberness of it, and I like it. We've done. I mean, the girls and I have done a little bit, like when we've been to the art walk downtown and stuff. They have that beautiful yarn shop there up on the hill, and they were making felted beads and stuff with the kids.
Oh, neat! And
it's nice. I think it would be rather soothing, but I haven't. It seems to be an expensive hobby.
Yep, that's one of those. Yeah, it's funny what is expensive over here versus Yeah, that is one more.
And I have seen, because I am a sewer initially, I've seen that they have that felting that for sewing machines and stuff. They've come up with a sewing machine that has is set up to do that. So that interesting.
Neat. That's cool. So maybe Kathy will do a video on felting when she gets going with it. I don't have supplies.
It'd be really good without me on screen.
Yeah. I'm standing over here. Here's what I'll describe it to you what I'm doing. And polymer clay, that's another thing I go through phases with. It's hard to use it down here in the winter because it's so cold.
Yeah.
I kind of have to put all my clay in my pockets and run around for a bit and then take them out. And oh my gosh, I had my daughter do that. I told her she was complaining about the black clay, and I said, well, just stick it in your pocket and it'll. And then it went through the wash.
I think I know where the story goes.
Oh my god! And
crayons are the worst.
Oh, polymer clay is pretty bad. And then I'm like taking the laundry out of the washer. What is all this black stuff in here? This is awful. I'm like, oh, and I found her pants, and sure enough, there was a package of clay, and some had come out, and it was, so I had to take everything out of the dryer because I didn't want it to like bake onto some of the clothes in the dryer.
Well, that's what happened with
shaking
the crayons.
it all out.
They made it through the wash, but then got into the dryer.
Oh,
it was awful.
And I broke my pasta machine that I was using for clay.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. So, and it's a lot of work to condition a lot of clay.
Without those, most definitely is. But what's really cool now is because I have a pasta machine for pasta because I also like to cook. And it was tremendously expensive.
Yeah, yes, I know. I bought a cooking one.
And then just in recent years, I bought a pasta machine like for my son. I usually get my kids like a gift, and we have a little bit of party the last day of school or whatever, and got him the pasta machine for working with clay. And it was like $25, and then with a coupon. And my machine that appeared to be quite exactly the same, was closer to $100.
Yeah, I might have to just get another cheap one. Although my mother says she has one that doesn't have a handle, and my handle's fine. It's just the gears are stripped or something on the inside where they crank.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how I could even begin to fix it. I've taken it apart 3 times. It's so frustrating. It was last winter I was going through that because I was getting ready for a class. I was conditioning all this clay for these kids, and it broke in the middle. It was such a nightmare. But
that was a huge, a wonderful thing that they came up with when they did come up with it to think to do that because it is a lot of work.
We actually have the Rompo Peel pasta maker. That thing was such a piece of junk. It's still, but we can't get rid of it because we paid so much money. I wanted it so bad. I'm like, husband, we're gonna make pasta all the time. This is back when I was like, newlyweds. I'm like, I'm gonna cook and I'm gonna make homemade pasta from whole wheat flour. It's gonna be so nutritious. Now, first of all, whole wheat flour does not work well on a pasta machine. Those electronic ones. Yeah. And that thing was always jamming.
You can't just use that 100%. It's
such
too
a
hard.
pain. But we still in our cupboard because it was like $150 back then when we were like, newlyweds, and it's like, we can't just throw this away. It was $150. You gotta make it work. Oh, Ron Popeil!
It's great. I love to make pasta. It's really fun.
And then cook it. You have these blobs of dough in the water. It's the nastiest looking stuff.
You don't.
God.
I've made chocolate pasta. We've made ravioli and fried it, and mushrooms and red bell peppers. And
I think a lot of the recipes called for eggs too, and it's like
it can.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. No. I mean, you could work around it, Lindsay. You're good like that.
I tried working around it. I'm not creative in the kitchen though.
Substituting supplies, just the same thing. Just think of it as a craft.
Never comes out as well as a craft though.
Debbie Pippin says, love all your tips and tricks for crafting. This is sort of a crafting question because when I'm crafting, I always manage to get glue and paint on my clothes. The paint usually comes out easily, but not the glue. I figure you would know the answer with as much crafting as you do. If you could bottle your energy, I would totally buy it at any price. Wow, look at that comparison to Tim Holtz. Do you remember at the stamp show when they were having the grab bags and the tickets when we went to the big heritage show, and he had a bag of Tim Holtz supplies and was pulling tickets, and he says, ladies, if I had poop in here with Tim Holt's name on it, you would be climbing over each other to try to get to it. And look at you. Your energy bottle, she'd buy it at any price. You're starting to come up to Tim Holtz standards.
I mentioned that comment once, and the guy from Marco's Paper left a comment. I'm like, oh my gosh, Marco's Paper guy saw my video. That was so funny. Bottling my energy. You just gotta sleep. You gotta get your 7 hours a night of sleep, I think. But I forgot the question.
She gets glue and paint on her clothes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Getting glue out is not so easy.
Alcohol should take it out. Alcohol will also take out acrylic paint. It's, you know...
After it's dried, really,
yes.
Because I do have that issue. I try to tell my kids, let me know when it's wet and I can get it out. And
yep. I mean, it's not perfect, but you can work it out.
so just
regular
rubbing alcohol.
Right, yeah, regular rubbing alcohol. If you get a gob on there, try to pick off what you can, and then soak it, and then just keep scrubbing it. You may damage the fabric. That's the thing. I mean, the acrylic paint is harsh. It goes through a chemical reaction. It's not like watercolor or gouache or even oil paint. It goes through a chemical reaction when it dries. It's completely different. It's plastic when it's done. So you need to something that will be a solvent, and it's one of the most stubborn things to get out. But rubbing alcohol, soak it and scrub it, and you will eventually get it out if you're persistent.
And that works for glue, but is that kind of
right? Because glue is an acrylic emulsion as well, so that will work for glue.
And like, what about like hot glue? Is that? I mean, you're talking
hot glue. I would try ironing it out because that's a melted plastic.
It wet and like kind of putting paper to kind of.
Right, hot glue just melts. It doesn't really change when it melts and then it goes back to the hard glue again. That's another one of those yes or no. It's supposed to be light fast, meaning that if you stamp on it. Say if you stamped a heart in dye-based ink, and you stamped a heart in pigment ink side by side, you left it in the sun, in a couple of months the dye ink will fade and the pigment ink will still be bright, and that's why they say that you should use pigment ink in your scrapbooks because it's more archival. So permanent in that respect. It's not, however, permanent like when you think of permanent marker. So if you stamped an image with a black pigment ink pad and you let it dry, then you watercolored over it, or even used an alcohol marker over it, it will smear more than likely. It probably will not stay, even if you heat set it, unless you emboss it. So depending on what your version of permanent is, it's permanent in the fact that it's not supposed to fade on you because of the pigments that they use.
Jenny from Jen's Creation Station says, another great video. Thank you. My question is this. Can you tell me how many rubber bands it takes on the left and right side of the rainbow loom for an adult size bracelet? I don't like the short bracelet with the connecting bands at the end. I want my bracelet to wrap around my wrist with just the C-clip. I have 2 looms to attach end to end. I look forward to more rubber band loom and Ask a Crafter videos. Thank you. I
agree. I don't like the look of that connector.
Yeah, and I have to. I have big wrists. And I had to do that. But I think it's kind of more, you're just going to have to try and see if one more notch will do it or if you need to go up 2.
Yeah, I've got fairly small wrists, and I used 24 when I did my the beaded ladder bracelet. So I did 2 looms end to end, and I did 24 to get, because I had 12 and 12 is how I broke up the colors, and that worked for me. And you could stretch it a little bit bigger and still be comfortable. But I would say probably 24. I would say, or maybe even a little bit more. There. Yeah.
Probably between because your wrist is smaller, so maybe between 23 and 26.
Yeah, probably something like that. I think I wish that they kind of came with 2 looms like that. It's kind of cheesy. You get one, and then you got to go find that same exact kind of loom. So if you got one for a present, and then you go to the store to find another one, you have to find the same kind, so you can come together. We've got 2 different kinds of looms in our house right now, for that reason.
Okay, and Jane Krisky. Hi, Lindsay. Today I watched your video on faux pewter. Beautiful pieces. When using a stamp to create an image in the glue, then must you use only rubber, or will clear polymer work?
I think that I would use rubber. See, rubber stamps are made in a what's it called? Vulcanizing process. It's molten rubber that's poured onto these matrix plates, so they can totally take the heat from a hot glue gun. I think the cheap ones will be fine. The cheap clear stamps will be fine because they're a silicone base, so they're not going to melt either. But your higher quality, there's no way I'm sticking a pink persimmon stamp in my hot glue. No way. The higher quality stamps like the paper tray ink and the pink persimmon, I really wouldn't risk it. I think that you may damage them with that heat.
If you've got a dollar clear stamp, then Lindsay does, try it, see what happens. But
and the dollar ones are the silicone ones.
Be prepared for what might happen, but
I think the silicone ones are going to be fine. I think I would be leery, and I don't have any of the expensive clear stamps that I'm willing to willing to risk right now.
Yeah.
But if you are going to try it, use a low temperature heat gun and make sure let it cool off till it's almost hardened before you press it in. And make sure you put some like clear embossing ink on there, or even a colored pigment ink if you want to.
And I wonder because of the whole, no words. This is why I'm off screen.
Awkward silence, folks.
And from having 3 children, oh my God, just the structure of the clear stamp, they have like more squish.
Yep.
So I don't think you're gonna get that really neat,
That's a good
detailed,
point. Yeah.
Dimension in the glue, because when you push it down in there, where you wait for the glue to harden a little, you're gonna get some resistance, and it's gonna distort the clear stamp. So you might not be happy with what you get anyway, even if they might work.
Yeah.
Because you kind of do that, like with stamping. I have a tendency, because I started stamping way back when, the only thing available was the rubber stamps, and you had to put some pressure on them. And I have a tendency to kind of squish my clear stamps because I push too hard.
You gotta be gentle. Like I really like those the stamps for Oriental Trading because they're so big and they're great. The sentiments are great. But if I've been stamping with rubber and I pick up those stamps, I'm like smashing it, and I've got like awful images. Cause I mean I think rubber's a better investment. But then again, you can't see through it when you're stamping. So
really,
I mean, there's give and take.
They each have their advantages, and you can't beat a rubber stamped image for intricacy.
Nice vocabulary. Yep. Try it with a cheap one that you're not in love with, and just make sure the glue's cooled down a little bit before you stick it in there, and see how it goes. I think your cheap ones will be all right. I think the more expensive ones you may run into trouble because they're made completely differently.
iCatStacy77 says, "Hello, ladies. I'm back with more questions. My daughter got a handy gadget to make puff balls with yarn. I was wondering what type is best for this application, or if there are a few types to stay away from." Then next, do you want them all, or you want to answer one at a time?
I do one at a time, I think. Puff balls. Do you think she means pom-poms?
I'm assuming she means pom-poms.
I would say probably like your best one would be the Red Heart Super Saver, your basic acrylic yarn, because they'll fluff up. And they're cheap, and you can experiment with them. And because a pom-pom can take quite a bit of yarn, especially if you're making a bunch of them, you could be using up quite a bit of yarn.
If you really want a nice one, they do.
Yeah, you want to use a lot of yarn to make a nice full pom-pom. I would avoid the novelty yarns, because even though they look really great on the skein and they're cute, you wrap them, then you trim through all those loops, and you're going to have shedding everywhere. Little pom-poms are going to fall off. The little eyelash furs are going to go everywhere, and they're going to look like a drowned rat. They're not going to look cute like you think they're going to look cute.
You don't get the
texture and the quality.
The expansion, I guess I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, wool would work great because it would kind of really frizz up good, but then again, wool yarn's more expensive. And you're doing a kid's craft, I think, and the colors also. You're getting better colors in the Red Heart.
I think that's Walmart carries that, right? Isn't that cheaper?
Well,
that's what I bought for the kids.
Actually, I think Walmart carries. Don't they carry Red Heart and carry Mainstay, which is their own acrylic brand, which is. It
works wonderfully, and I mean it's just like a sport weight. Yeah. Right.
Well, I think it's worsted. I think the Super Saver is like a number 4, like a worsted.
Oh, it is. It is. But yeah, they have such a variety of colors, and it's under $2.50.
Yeah.
A skein, and I do some before and after school care for kids. And my twins are basically the same age as Lindsay's. They're 9 months older. They just turned 10. And, I've had all 4 girls going and making whatever they wanted for pom-poms. And I still have yarn left. We've done that like twice. And they make great pom-poms. I mean, you can't be stingy. It does take a lot of yarn. You want to wrap it so that it's nice and full and puffy, because I like them fast.
Yes, they should be nice and fluffy pom-poms, yeah.
I remember way back when, ice skating, and you had to have, and probably roller skating.
Roller skating, yes.
Which
I was a roller skater.
You had to have those big pom-poms, and I mean, I made mine purple and gold, school colors.
Oh yes, golden
bucks. I made them so big, it's like I almost couldn't walk, with the skate, because they were banging. Yeah. But you want them nice and full.
Yeah. Yep. And the cheap acrylic yarn will do that for you.
Okay, next question. I've seen people store their acrylic and cling stamps in CD, DVD cases. Is this a safe long-term solution? What about pH levels?
Oh, you don't have to worry about the pH levels traveling to your stamps, because your stamps are not going to permanently stay on your image. You have to worry about the acidity in inks and papers, but not on the storage. I've heard that some plastics could take could make the stamps not sticky. Like, I don't know if it like leaches something on there, but I think that's more of like a film. I don't think there's any trouble with the CD cases, and many companies sell them in CD cases. I was just going to say,
there's company, are they completely gone now?
They're out of CD.
Because they had fantastic stamps.
Yeah.
But yeah, their whole thing was they were called CDs.
Yeah, and they were stored in CD cases, but they're out of business. But Paper Tray I think they still sell theirs in CD cases.
Do they?
Yep.
I've never gotten any Paper Tray ones.
I want to.
I just stay away from the site.
Yes, I like the way that Stampin' Up has theirs in DVD cases.
Yeah, those
I
are
like
fantastic.
those. And you can buy those
I
empty
like those.
cases, and those are absolutely, fine. I wouldn't worry about any acid leaching. It's not like you're, putting a rubber stamp in your scrapbook and leaving it there. You're stamping an image, and then you're putting that image on your scrapbook. So.
I recently bought some Liquitex acrylic glazing medium. Other than mixing it with acrylic paints, I assume, does it have any other uses? Many thanks, oh crafty goddess, Stacy.
Well, you can use it to, glaze on top of a picture. You can mix it with acrylic paint and paint it like on a silicone mat and make some window clings. You could mix it in with gelatos instead of using gelato glaze medium. It's basically it's like a paint without the paint. It's like a paint without the color, basically. So anything you want, anytime you want a little gloss or transparency.
So you could add glitter to it?
Oh yeah.
Make a clear glitter.
Yeah, like a glitter glaze, yep. Or Pearlex or whatever.
Okay, next we have Ira Carey S. Hello. You mentioned before that you use Gorilla Glue to adhere the sponge back to the stamp pad base. Up in Canada, I was told to get it at Home Depot, but there are like 5 different kinds. Most state that the glue will expand 3 to 4 times its size.
Yes.
Can you please tell me the kind you use and how to gauge how much to use? Thank you dearly.
Get the original Gorilla Glue. The original Gorilla Glue will come in brown. There's also a white version, but it's got to be the original Gorilla Glue. And the reason it works is because it's meant for damp surfaces, and it expands and it fills in the gaps between the foam pad or the felt pad and your plastic base. And get the smallest container you can, because it will cure on you before you're done, before you use it up. Now they have single-use containers, and actually the Gorilla Glue people sent me some of these. I think I got them right here. Another promotional freebie. Love promotional freebies. So they have these little single-use containers. There's actually like 3 or 4 uses in one of those, but those are fantastic. And then I think you get 4 or 5 in a container. That way you don't have to worry about it going to waste.
So you would use less than that single use to glue the cushion back on?
Just a few
dots. You don't have to cover the whole...
Yeah, no, don't cover it. Just a dot, not a lot, because it will expand and it'll come out the edges. And like my daughter had she had a pair of cowboy boots, and the leather came off the sole, and I put a few dots in there. I thought, well, I want to make sure it sticks in there, and it expanded out to the edge, and I have to like cut it off or cut off the extra glue or something. It really does expand. So just a few tiny drops on there, and leave it overnight, and it'll glue it. Not a lot.
Okay, Shelby Brumfield was wondering if you knew how to recondition digital cutting mats to bring back the sticky. I've been using Krylon, but it's not sticky enough for long enough. I'd love a new mat, but it's $19 a pop. I'll pass.
Oh, she must have a Silhouette. I think they have more expensive mats.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Because that's what I was thinking if ever I have a machine.
Well, I think the Silhouette's a brilliant machine, but it's the blades are expensive. Blades are like $15, and you can get 2 for $5 a lot of times for like the Eclipse. So, you have more detail with the Silhouette, but
it's the same thing. I'm going through looking for a new printer.
Yeah.
Thinking about the ink and
Oh, but anyways, to make your mat sticky, you want to use Quilter's basting spray. We've got a can of it around here somewhere, right here. This is by Taylor, June Taylor ink. I got it at Walmart for about $6. It's a big can. It's 12 ounces. And I got this a few years ago. And when my mats get less than sticky, that's behind a few things. I just tape off the edges and spray it with this and let it dry, and then it's perfect.
But the first thing you do, though, don't you wash them?
Yes, for the first times when you wash them off, and they'll get quite a bit stickier just by washing them. But sometimes they're more
get
rush.
dirty.
Glitter,
just stuff
dust,
in the air, and they pick up any glitter or anything that you you're working with. Yeah, because I
Yep.
couldn't believe the difference when I have a little Cricut that is actually Lindsay's. She's kind enough to let me use, and I, did that to the mats,
Yep.
and I couldn't believe really how grungy they
Yeah.
were. And
Yeah.
it did make a big difference.
Yeah, so wash them with like a dish soap with like a dishcloth. Like the knitted dishcloths work the best. Just scrub it down, rinse it off, and let it air dry. Because sometimes if you pat it dry, you might actually get some more lint.
You get more lint on
them.
it, yeah. And you don't really want to. It's not like you want to take your metal pot scrubber and
Yeah.
scrub them off, because again, it's kind of a coating, so you don't want to.
Right. You just want to remove any dust and glitter and dirt and embossing powder and all the other goodies that it picks up in the craft room. And then that will be pretty sticky, but if it's not sticky enough, then give it a spray of the baster spray. Or if you don't have time to go through the whole washing, letting it dry ordeal, because if you need to cut something now, just give it a spray of that and that will do you for a while. And replace the little covers. And there seems to be a wrong and a right way to put those covers on, I've noticed. That sometimes I've put it on and it seems like all the sticky goes onto the cover. It's like there's a front and a back to those, I've noticed,
really?
for the Cricut ones. I don't know what the other brands, but I did notice that when I first started using my Cricut like many years ago. But that is Quilter's Basting Spray. And it's not cheap, use a coupon. If you have to get to the craft, if you get it at the craft store.
Oh, it's. I think it's much more reasonable. Like they have different kinds
Good.
at the craft store, but I think Walmart's is cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that was $6. I don't know if they still have it or not.
Yeah,
a few
I
years
think
ago.
you'd have a can half that size. Like if you go like to the fabric store in the
Oh,
quilting
okay.
department, the can is like half that size for the $6.
Oh, okay.
But then again, you can't use a coupon,
Yeah.
at Walmart. But
Yeah.
Heather Jones Pryor says, "Hi, love the show. Missed Ask a Crafter during the holidays. What is the difference value of one versus the other when using the color dusters or felt pad blenders? Thanks, Heather."
Well, if you use a duster, this is a color duster, you're gonna get a much softer, even look. If you use a foam pad, you're gonna get a more intense color. They do blend pretty well, but you're going to get a more intense color, and it's just less soft. So that's basically the difference. I use both of them, but I made my own foam blenders, if I can find them in this pile of junk.
Always here. Where are they?
Well, they're right here, I think. Good grief, they're stuck! They're stuck under here. Hold on, I can take the cover off and move one out. So it's like a bottle cap with a makeup wedge folded in half and hot glued in there. So that will give me a more intense color, like especially inking edges, or if I want to dab through a stencil, these are the way to go. The color dusters are great just to give like a soft all over color. So they both have their own uses and they're both kind of distinct. So I would have some of each.
Yvette Acosta says, "Hi, Lindsay. Thank you so much for the information you always put out. I really appreciate it. I would like to know if you could make a video on how to store different types of markers and pens. I keep hearing so much confusing information as to whether they should be stored upright or they should be flat. If you could go over some of the ones that you already know should be stored flat or if they should be stored upright, I would really appreciate it. As always, thank you so much for your information. I always learn so much. I look forward to your answer. You rock." Notice the 3 exclamation points.
Nice!
LOL. Thank you, and I hope you had an awesome holiday event.
Okay, well I'm going to do this real quick because my battery thingy is flashing at me. Store all markers flat unless it tells you not to.
Okay, that is quick. Kathy Semaratano says, "Love Ask a Crafter. Thanks for all the wonderful info. A friend of mine gave me some old rickrack she had lying around in her sewing room. It says it's white, but now slightly yellowed. I would like to color it, but I don't want to buy fabric dye. Do you have a clever way to make this stuff more colorful?"
Yep, I would soak it in water and then I would put reinker on it, dye-based reinker.
Terry Mail says, "Lindsay, you are very talented. I like your craft videos and Ask a Crafter episodes. I would like to buy some stamps. I don't have one stamp in my house." God, what happened? What's wrong? "I don't need a large collection or inks like you have. I would like to have enough for making an occasional card. What would you suggest I buy? Keep up the good work, and again, I love all your videos."
I think I would wait for there to be like a 40 or 50% off sale at Joann's or AC Moore, and I would get sentiments and a few images that you like. Sentiments are going to be your most used stamps if you're just starting out. Happy birthday, thank you, those sort of things. And then get a few images you like that are kind of generic, like flowers and maybe
Leaves,
Christmas
trees are always
trees.
good.
Yep. Yeah, and that way you can get all occasions covered with just with a small investment. And you can get a small set of ink pads by Rubber Stampede for $10 as like 12 different colors.
Jacqueline P. Need to find large stash of clipboards, about a mid-size or maybe option to make something. Any ideas? And I also need info or a video tutorial. Would that would be wonderful. Well, LOL. Ever see those pen flowers? Well, I want to make my own flowers and attach to the pen. They will be phablet flowers. I will leave this to your artsy mind to ponder on. Thanks bunches, Jackie.
Okay, well, but the pen flowers, actually, she emailed me, and we discovered that you could wrap floral tape around the bottom to attach them. She was cutting them out of fabric and then bunching them up, and she had a problem with them being really bunchy, and so then she decided to use wire and attach them to the top of the pencil, and that was going to work for her. And
washi tape would be good.
Yeah, washi tape would be great to wrap it down. And did she have a question about ink pads at the beginning, or? Do we have a
video
full page?
tutorial? Well, she's looking for a large stash of clipboards.
Oh, clipboards, dollar store,
or how to maybe make something.
Yeah, the dollar store gets them occasionally, and I know at AC Moore they have minis. They have the clipboard attachment, and you could always cut a piece of masonite to a larger size if you want to just take them apart and make your own.
And Tina Cloffer at your Spica clear glitter pen and fell in love with it. Copics makes them, so they're a bit pricey. Do you know of a decent glitter pen that is comparable yet affordable? I hear Wink or Stella by Stampin' Up is a good one too. Thanks.
I haven't used the Stampin' Up ones. I have used the Copic ones. Somebody sent me a package to try out, and they are lovely. I think the Jelly Roll glitter pens are really good too, and they're about $1 a piece.
Wolfen8 says, until I can find a table to permanently set up that giant Cricut, I'll probably grab the Big Shot first. I bought an embossing folder. Can you use one in a few ways? Looking to incorporate it into a multimedia journal and maybe cards.
What do you think she means by use an embossing folder a few ways?
Well, I'm thinking maybe just besides, embossing, like how you can like put ink on them.
Oh, that's right.
Stamp,
yep.
And you can emboss anything, like where she can cut out what I can't remember the name of.
Chipboard. Folks, we ran the battery down. Yeah, we did. We've been talking for a long time. I honestly think we've probably been talking for an hour.
Oh, has it really?
I think it has.
I never have a problem talking that long. Lindsay will completely and totally attest to that.
All right, so actually, you did I think you got the question, and it was different ways to use embossing folders.
Right.
So let's talk about embossing folders, shall we? We'll talk.
Get some coffee and
Get some coffee, some talk. I'm all out of tea. Look at that. Isn't that the saddest teacup you ever saw in your life? It's so very sad. It's cold down here. We have no coffee. We probably should have had a coffee break to come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, you had a great idea. You said inking.
Right. Using it kind of like a letterpress.
Yes, yes.
Very cool. Either side, like.
Yes. And you can like heat up a foam bath block, and you can press it onto the embossing folder and make a stamp. You can emboss chipboard, soda cans, emboss really